The Jiggy Jaguar radio program continues.
Our big broadcast. We are live coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today. We are live each and every day at 2 Central, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, and 1 p.m. Mountain Standard. And we have an incredible guest we're going to get to here in just a few moments. Get a hold of us online, JiggyJaguar.com. Also, 50-plus AM/FM stations across the big network and iHeartRadio as well. And we go to the telephones, and we have got our next guest with us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend. Tell us what about yourself.
So nice to have to be with you today.
Yes.
So my name is Michael Schwartzman, and with Elena Lister, we have written a book. It's called Giving Hope. It's about conversations with children about illness, death, and loss. You know, the point is that we're in the midst of a lot of things that families are experiencing, children in particular are experiencing, and these are things that we have found through our clinical work. People don't really have an easy time talking about them. Illness, death, changes that go on for a family, they're very difficult to talk about. So we've written a book in an effort to help parents really sort out how to approach their children and how to have these kinds of very difficult, nobody wants to have kinds of conversations.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live, Giving Hope with Dr. Schwartzman, and he joins us here on our big program. So, this book, incredibly well written. Tell me a little bit about your writing process.
It was an interesting process, I have to tell you. It's a good question. Basically, really who wants to sit around and talk about this kind of a topic? And only because we come so close to it in our clinical work did we want to share it, and to have someone join us who could spark conversation and listen to us go back and forth and then put it into a language that parents would be able to understand. We didn't want to do it in a heavy medical way. We wanted to do it in a very accessible way. So the writing process went on, as this person from outside the field talked through questions and concerns that she thought of that dovetailed with what we had from our clinical work. And over the course of writing this book, as life happens, her father got sick with a terminal cancer, and we ended up talking about it in a very personal way as well.
Dr. Michael Schwartzman with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. So, this book, incredibly well written. You put a lot of time and effort into the book. What do you want readers to take away from your writing?
Oh, thank you for that. Parents have enormous difficulty talking to their children about these very difficult subjects because it's difficult for them themselves. And somehow when you see your child receiving this kind of information, the tendency is to be very, very protective. But we have to ask the question, who are we protecting? Are we protecting ourselves from the feelings we're going to have, over what we're telling our children, or are we protecting our children? It's probably we're doing some of both. And what would be lovely to know, that a parent could take away from our book would be the idea that if they really think through how it's impacting them, how their children typically take this kind of news, what they want in the narrative that will come to the child, that the child will hold in their mind, we want them to take away the idea that this is a very possible, very doable conversation that leads to, a strength over time where you can talk about most anything.
Michael Schwartzman with us today. He joins us live. The doctor is with us talking about Giving Hope, which is the latest book that him and his co-author have put together. So this book, incredibly well written. You put a lot of time and effort into the book. What have been some of the reviews that you guys have gotten so far on this incredible piece of business?
It's interesting. It's a recognized area where there's very, very little that's being written about. People haven't really wanted to go near this area. It's very fraught with a lot of emotion. Bishop Michael Curry, who's the presiding bishop of the Episcopalian Church, he wrote how important it was that something like this be available. to parents who have to be on the front line with their child, telling them things that are very difficult to talk about. And he thanks us and praises us for having written the book. That's a very heartwarming response that we got, because it really hits the point of what we're trying to get across. People should have something that they can refer to in a very back and forth kind of a way that helps support them through this kind of a very difficult moment.
We have got a great guest with us today. Dr. Michael Schwartzman is with us. Michael Schwartzman, PhD.com is his official website. You can pick up Giving Hope, Conversations with Children About Illness, Death, and Loss. And he joins us today here on our big broadcast. So, what are some of your goals for this book?
I mean, I think it's twofold. We'd love people to read the book. We'd love to make this a part of their bringing up children's lives, that really becomes much more doable. We say that, loss in life is inevitable. And therefore, in parenting, talking about loss should be an inevitable part. So on the one hand, we would like to promote parents feeling strongly about their ability to do this with their children. And also, we would like to be more a part of a conversation which is about, how do we stand up to what's going on today? How are children being affected? You see it in the news all the time. We'd like to be able to talk about that, wherever we can, and which is, again, why I'm thankful to be able to talk with you today.
So the book has been getting a lot of rave reviews. You guys have been getting a lot of people picking up the book. Where do you see this book going? Are you going to have a part 2, anything like that?
You ask a very good question. When we were writing this book, we really envisioned it, and we envision it moving forward as a companion to a family, to parents, as they're going through whatever they're going through. So because we're making it a more general storyline meant to cover all topics, we realized as we were writing it that we could actually get into more detail about some of the even more difficult conversations. So, for example, if you have a situation in which a parent themselves has a turnover and is looking for guidance, is looking for support as they think through how they want to approach their child, how they want to talk through with their family, what's going on. We would love to be able to write something in much greater detail where we can go more into the specifics of how to handle something like that. We want to go where people really have the most difficulty, and we want to talk about it in the most normative of ways. So I could see that being part 2, but we still have to see how part 1 takes us and where we go with that, and who knows what we could start to think about after that.
Well, the book is amazing. I look forward to chatting with you soon more about it. Before we let you go, what's next for you as an author?
I guess reading more reviews and talking, in an audience of people. We have a blog on the Psychology Today website, so that's very exciting. We're going to write an article for a major newspaper, and we're constantly reading these significant articles in the paper and sending letters to the editor. So, we've got our plate full. Very interesting, very exciting.
Fantastic. Well, the book is amazing. Thank you for writing it, my friend. Thanks for making time for us today. And I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I would love to have you back when we have maybe some time to have you on Skype and do a video interview with you. I would love to have you back. And thanks for taking as much time as possible. And I would love to talk to you and your co-author at some point on another program. Thank you, my friend.
You can count on it. Thank you for having me. It's been a total pleasure. I'll talk to you again.
Definitely. Thank you, my friend.
Be very well. Thank you.
There he goes. Fantastic. Dr. Schwartzman. More on the other side.